Hello, everyone. I am Toby, the Kilted Adventurer, taking a side excursion today in the town of Mentone, Alabama. So let's go and have some fun.
Mentone, Alabama is 45 minutes southwest of Chattanooga, just north of DeSoto State Park. It's actually on Lookout Mountain. I've seen me take hiking trips in both Lookout Mountain, Tennessee, and Georgia. A lot of people don't know that the southwestern section of Lookout Mountain is also in northeastern Alabama. There's a couple of maps I want to show you here. You can see Lookout Mountain, Tennessee, and getting into Georgia, the Chattanooga area. You can see here that Mentone is actually on Lookout Mountain, Alabama. First Lookout Mountain settlers arrived shortly after the Cherokee Indian removal of 1838 to 1839. These pioneers had been too late for homesteading the good farmland in northwest Georgia. They now turned their attention to Lookout Mountain. With stubborn determination, they hacked their way through the mountain wilderness, chopped logs and built primitive houses, cleared lands for patch farming, and hunted the abundant wildlife for food. For years, not much changed in their lives. Times were hard. During the Civil War, federal troops were on the mountain. They dealt severely with the settlers, taking their animals and meager stores of food. Still, these hardy souls managed to survive and remained on their homesteads. In the post-Civil War era, more affluent settlers arrived. Among these was the Mason family from Bellefontaine, Iowa. John Mason and his son Edward were the founders of Mentone. John was instrumental in the opening of the Vernon Gap, and Edward bought the hardware store, the covered bridge. The community did the work. Edward gave money for a church and a school. Alice, the daughter of John, later named the town Mentone. Mentone eventually became incorporated in 1936. Despite great progress in Mentone since its founding, the advice of John Mason still has a ring of truth. Don't come here expecting to make a fortune, but if your fortune is made, Mentone offers the good life. Very prominent in Mentone is St. Joseph's on the Mountain. November 1st, 1965, the Reverend John Franklin Machen, a retired Episcopal priest, planted this church here with 16 baptized persons, 23 church school members. First service of St. Joseph's Church as a recognized and organized congregation by the Diocese of Alabama was in 1971 and was conducted by the Reverend Graham Glover. The church grew, and by 1974, the building was more or less what it is today. Originally, the worship took place in a log cabin, and the church building has grown around it. The log cabin dated back to around 1870. Over the years, mainly through building done by volunteers and without any financial help from the diocese, the building shaped into a church with construction materials including wood, reclaimed from old buildings of the same vintage as the log cabin. The original log house, which remains, had served as a residential family home for 100 years. Descendants of these families still live in the Mentone area. While we were there, we were fortunate to get to observe part of the world's largest yard sale. This yard sale really is the longest yard sale in the world. To be exact, it's 690 miles long. The route travels through 6 states, starting in Alabama, going to Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. The majority of the route follows Highway 127 from Addison, Michigan in the north, down below Chattanooga, Tennessee, into Georgia and Alabama into the south.
Thanks for joining me today on this excursion. Remember to give me that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, seek adventure.